Afternoon, Jay.
Afternoon.
After a demanding game schedule in the month of December and then kind of trickling into January, how much do you as a coach like a week like this where there's only 2 game days and there's a lot of emphasis on practice days?
We take the schedule as it comes. There's the old saying in hockey, sometimes you get the schedule and sometimes the schedule gets you. For me, the way this week presented itself offered a unique opportunity to work at different areas of our game. And, I thought we've had a productive couple of days, but in the end, it's about preparing to play against a very competitive Columbus Blue Jackets team that's going to play us hard tomorrow night. Okay.
Jay, Tyson Barrie talked about the practice today and how it allows a lot more touches for the D-men than maybe a normal practice. That's your goal of it. When you break it down specifically like that and you separate them, the defensemen on the D-zone drills, but in the offenses, I saw a lot of work across the blue line. Is that an area you see improvement on, or is it just sharpening the skills?
This is about the 3rd or 4th time we've done this year. We have that in mind on certain parts of our practice schedule. I agree. I think a day like today, which we would call almost position specific, it allows you to work at different parts of your individual game relative to your position. We started doing this in the American League. We'd have development weeks. The schedule is a little bit different down there. But the way we would phrase it to some of the young fellas down there was that it was their turn to invest in their own personal corporation, work at their own game. And, it wasn't about team structure, team tactic. It was about feeling good with different areas of their own personal game. And, I see the types of practices we're doing up here in the NHL when we have time. These are feel good for the players. They get, like you said, they get a lot of touches with the puck and they get to work at different parts of their game. I have seen improvements since we started doing these.
Ryan McLeod had a long stretch coming. He was playing maybe his best hockey, then he got hurt. And when he returned, he said it took him a while to get up to speed. Since Christmas and really the last few games, his game looks a lot similar to it was when he got injured in Florida. He's got 4 goals now. What is it about McLeod's evolution and maybe development that you've liked this year? And what areas can you put him in now that maybe you couldn't last year?
Well, I would start out by saying, I can't remember who told me this, but someone told me he had gone about 20-odd games without scoring a goal. There was an injury break in between there. But since he's returned, he has, dialed up a little bit more of the competitiveness factor. I think, was he 4 goals in his last 6 or 7 games, something like that. I see him going to hard areas in order to find offensive success. And I think with Ryan, that's what it comes down to. It comes down to not a lack of understanding of how we want to play, not a lack of skill, not a lack of size. It's whether he's willing to go to hard areas to find success. I have a very high opinion of him as a player. I've seen him hit different stages along the way. I felt comfortable last year with him. We upgraded his minutes beginning in the month of February. He really took off in March and April, and I thought really blossomed in the playoffs, specifically in the Colorado series, where his skating level was required. I don't think the first part of this year maybe went to the way he wanted it to go. But just like with our team, it's okay when things aren't a smooth sail. It forces you to find answers in different ways. And we're seeing a little bit of bump from him here. I think, we did a little exercise this morning in the coach's room about which players were on pace for their career year. And I think that he's on pace for a career year.
Jay, I hadn't seen the team play for a couple of weeks, but when I did, Philip Rover definitely jumped out at me. It was the freedom with which he was playing the game, I think, that stood out. And not in an unstructured sort of way, but just the way he wasn't overthinking things and was
Yeah, I would think for him specifically, you know, he's like Ryan. He has all the tools to be a very good long-time NHL hockey player. I think for Philip, one of the things was just the experiential learning. And the other day I mentioned he hit the 40-game mark. He's probably around 44 or 45 games in the National Hockey League. I think younger defensemen specifically gain more confidence and feel a lot more comfortable the more games they play. There's a theory amongst coaches around the league that you really don't know what you have in an NHL defenseman until they've hit their 200th game. Because that's kind of when they figure out what they are, what their capabilities are at this level. I don't know if it's going to take that long for us to understand Philip or Philip to understand what he can do at this level, but I see growth. I see someone who's gaining confidence with the more experience that he gets. Yep, I got you.
A different question. In the old days, players didn't even leave a team or miss practice when their wives were giving birth. I think we've probably changed a little bit since then. We had a player in Vancouver believed to have missed a Saturday night game because his dog passed and he was just didn't feel up to it. What are your thoughts on that? If a player came to you and said, my dog died, I can't play, what do you do?
I wasn't aware of that, so in fairness, it's tough for me to comment about another team's player or that situation, but in a hypothetical world, I think you're going towards. I think there's a lot more awareness around mental health in the year 2023 than maybe in years past. I think the one thing here in Edmonton that we're really blessed with is tons of resources. From ownership to management, they provide things to the coaching staff and to the players. I'll use today as an example. How many organizations around the league could go on the ice at the same time, break up by position and go on two different ice surfaces? That's a resource we have here in Edmonton. I wouldn't limit it to just that. I would say that we have people available to us should someone not feel right. And not feeling right isn't always the physical. Sometimes it's the mental side of things. I just go back to what we have here in Edmonton in our specific situation. I think we're blessed with a lot of resources, and we're thankful for ownership and management for providing them.
Is it time to look, we've always looked at players a little bit like machines, you know, just get out and play.
Yeah.
Fans say, I'm paying a whole bunch of money, I don't want to go to the rink and have Connor McDavid not be there. Is it time to look at players in a different light? Like they're normal people, and maybe they deserve the same breaks that people that do normal jobs have.
Well, they're certainly human beings first, before anything else. A lot of them are family men. You know, people in any profession have good days and bad days. I think it's important to open that conversation where if someone's not feeling well, physically or mentally, that they should feel free to share that with the powers that be or the resources available to the organization.
Just following up on Evander Kane, noticed he wasn't out there today, similar to yesterday, and is he available for tomorrow?
We'll see about tomorrow, but same reason for yesterday as well.
But there is potential that he might not be available tomorrow?
But potentially.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wanted to ask about your team's ability to play the game that it wants to play from the start of games in any given moment. And if you've seen an improvement in that here recently, that the Oilers seem to have this game they can throw out there when they need it, as opposed to trying to access it when you're behind.
Yeah. You know what? I think it, you know, when you get out in front of a game, it's easier to play the type of game that you want to play. It puts the other team on the back foot. That's our intent. It has been our intent the entire year. Sometimes things happen where you do get out in front. Sometimes the other team has a say, they do something well, and you find yourself behind. I think what we're trying to find, though, is a level of consistency in our game, whether we score the first goal or not. We're trying to find a full 60-minute game where we feel we can hang our hat. And the more consistency we build in our game, the better the results will be. You know, sometimes you have your A game. You go out there and you have it could even be an A+ game, and everything seems to work for you. And then there's other games where, you know, maybe the other team does some good things, or you're on a back-to-back or 4 games in 6 nights, and it just doesn't feel as good as it does when it's your A+ game. I think we can win games when we play towards a certain identity or structure, even when we don't have our A game. And that has been a message that has been, the seeds of that have been planted long ago, but we're starting to see a little bit of results off of it, or fruit off of that. For me, I don't think you always have to feel well to play well. Part of that is playing towards a structure. I think structure protects individuals so that when they don't feel great, you still have a chance to win. I think structure provides freedom for people. I think guidelines provide freedom, and the better that we adhere to a structure or guidelines, I think the better chance we have to win games.
Hey, Jay. Wanted to ask you a little bit about the Blue Jackets, and it's Johnny Gaudreau specifically. Obviously, it was an emotional night for him last night. He looks like he's really driving that team. What do you see in him this year? You guys know him well, obviously. What makes him such an effective player, in your opinion? And how dangerous are the Blue Jackets? Because it looked like they're playing with nothing to lose. They're just coming a young team and coming in here, and they're just going to give it all their all and see where chips kind of fall.
Yeah, I think you're right. They're a dangerous team. They have dangerous individual players. They have, as you said, players playing for something maybe more than just location in the team standings. They're playing for jobs. So they play with a level of passion and enthusiasm that you see in younger players that are trying to establish themselves at the National Hockey League level. You know, I know their coaching staff, they're proud people, they're really good coaches, they prepare their players. For Johnny Hockey in particular, you know, we saw enough of him over the years here with Calgary. I'm sure it was an emotional night for him personally last night. But he's somebody that can hurt you off the rush. He can hurt you if you make a mistake while you're in the offensive zone. He can transition from defense to offense that quickly. Last night he drew a penalty shot because of it. You know, he's someone that despite his diminutive size is very hard to finish on. He's very elusive. You couple that with some of their characters in Boone Jenner and those type of guys, and you add a sniper like Line into the mix, they can hurt you. So for us, you know, it's the same attitude we took into Vancouver, which was our focus is on us, growing our game, taking a step in our team game. We've done a good job of that post-Christmas. We're looking to do that tomorrow versus a team that if you're not prepared, they can hurt you.